How do you feel about dating? I know that's a little bit of an awkward place to start, but honestly, can't dating be awkward? At least there have been times that it's been like that for me, especially in high school when I felt like I was on a journey to find the one. I'll never forget those first date feelings. I remember one time in high school, I was sitting at a restaurant across from a girl I had a crush on with my parents' money burning a hole in my pocket. I kept thinking, I can't mess this up. I mean, I know how this is supposed to go. We enjoy this meal, we have a good conversation, and then we live happily ever after together forever. There's no pressure. Well, that's not exactly what happened. We lasted about 2 months, then things started getting weird. So not exactly together forever that we all hope for when we're looking to date. Here's the thing about my story that I think connects all of us. For some reason, most of us have an idea that the one for us is out there somewhere. We just have to find them and everything else will fall into place. Today, I want to simplify things by defining the word dating. And we're going to define it like this. Being in a relationship, whatever it looks like, where the other person means more to you than just being a good friend. Look, no matter how you feel about dating right now, whether you're not interested, you've never dated, or you're obsessed with having a significant other, chances are dating might be a part of your life in the future. So I'm sure you'd like to figure out what it would take to find the one, or better yet, what it would take to be the one for someone else. Well, the good news is you don't have to figure this all out on your own. When it comes to our relationships with one another, the Bible has helpful things to say, even if it never mentions dating specifically. This makes sense because it was written thousands of years ago, and dating really wasn't a thing back then. But stick with me for a few minutes because this is going to be helpful for us today. The section we're looking at today is called Proverbs, which is dedicated to wisdom, which simply means it's a book about learning to make better choices in all areas of our lives. So let's look at some wisdom from the book of Proverbs. And it says this: put your outdoor work in order and get your fields ready. After that, build your house. So here, Solomon, the writer of Proverbs, is talking about the best way to build a house. Just hang in here with me because I promise this connects with dating. Like a lot of things in the Bible, even though the verse was directed at a specific audience about a specific thing, it contains universal wisdom that makes it relevant for us today, even thousands of years later. Remember, when we said Solomon had really helpful wisdom, but didn't necessarily follow it himself? Well, the guy had hundreds of wives and side relationships. Honestly, his dating life was a complete mess, but that doesn't change the fact that what he was getting at here is really helpful when it comes to our own dating lives. His ideal to-do list went like this: get your land ready for a house, then build your house. I don't know how much you know about building a house, but it seems like solid advice. A big part of getting land ready for construction is leveling the ground out so that you can lay a concrete foundation. Life works the same way. Prepare now and you'll succeed later. Basically, if you want to be a successful person at something, you have to prepare its foundation first. But here's the thing, even though we know this is true, we often try to be successful without first having a foundation. Dating is no different. In fact, let's apply Solomon's guide to home building to your dating life. Think about the steps like this: get yourself ready to date, and then date. And how do you get yourself ready to date? Well, instead of waiting to find the one, work on becoming the one. Because becoming the one is much better than finding the one. If you want to take a wise approach to dating and you want your relationships to have the best chance at succeeding, start by building a good foundation. And that means that you need to start with you. I want to look at a passage of scripture that talks about love. It's from a letter the Apostle Paul wrote, a guy many of the first Christian churches listened to, and he wrote to many of them as well. But this one he wrote to was called Corinth. And this verse is from 1 Corinthians 13, and it goes like this: love is patient and kind. Love is not jealous or boastful or proud or rude. It does not demand its own way. It is not irritable. It keeps no record of being wrong. It does not rejoice about injustices, but rejoices whenever the truth wins out. Love never gives up, never loses faith, is always hopeful, and endures through every circumstance. That's a great list, right? The way Paul talks about love makes it sound pretty incredible. I bet most of us had heard that list and said, wow, I would sure love to find someone like that. But if we need to lay foundation and focus on ourselves before we move to someone else, we need to ask ourselves, what does this passage mean for me? And we need to focus on becoming that kind of person right now, whether we're dating or not. The best part about all of this is that you become so much more than just the one someone is looking to date. You can become the one who is known for loving everyone well. You can become more like Jesus, who was known by his love for others. That's just what Jesus does. He doesn't just change your dating life. He winds up changing everything. Your friendships, your family relationships, your dating relationships. Now I get it. Some of you have been dating for a long time, but maybe haven't ever thought about it like this before. I want you to know that it's never too late to work on becoming that kind of person that Paul is talking about. After all, this is a lifelong process, and it doesn't end when we start dating or even when we get married. However, if you're not dating someone right now, you're in the perfect position to focus on becoming the one until you start dating. But perhaps the best news isn't finding the one, it's becoming the one. And here's the steps that we can do to get started. First, choose who you want to work on becoming. Look at the list of characteristics Paul uses to describe love. Which of these would you like to focus on becoming? Which characteristic would benefit your life and your relationship the most? Maybe you want to be less jealous and more kind. Whatever it is or might be for you, choose what you want to work on and then do that. The second thing is practice. You may already be doing this, but give it another shot, because the more you practice, the more something becomes who you are. Don't expect to do this perfectly right out of the gate, but do give it a shot. Keep practicing even when you mess up. Over time, you'll wind up becoming more and more like the one Paul is talking about, someone who loves like Jesus. And the third thing you can do is repeat. Keep coming back to this process over and over. If you repeat these steps at different points in your life, you'll constantly be growing and becoming more like Paul's definition of love throughout the different phases your life has. Over time, you'll continue moving in the direction of becoming the one, someone who is known by your love in all areas and not just in your dating life. Okay, so one more time, I think back to Paul's list. Love is patient, it's kind, it's not jealous, it doesn't demand its way. Wouldn't it be amazing to meet someone who had those qualities? Now think about what kind of qualities would that person be looking for? Who do you want to date? How would they describe what they're looking for in their one? Patient people, kind people, people who put others first, are often attracted to people who have the same qualities. And that's the kind of person someone else would want to date. Not a bad bonus. At the same time, even if you're not interested in dating, which is more than okay, you'll still wind up having better relationships with everyone in your life because you are loving and growing as a person. Practicing patience and kindness alone could have a huge impact on your relationships both today and in the future. So instead of focusing on finding someone or deciding that they're right for you, work on your foundation, because becoming the one is better than finding the one.